Are you concerned about the madness? A lot of blowouts, no Cinderellas, sign of things to come. Maybe we're overreacting, but it feels like the trend is headed that way. The little guy has it harder and harder. With NIL payments ballooning, there's no continuity for Cinderella teams to even get some footing, and the games have been blowouts. The tournament continues. The madness is over. And does that impact your interest at all? 248-539-9797. Texter says March Madness for the men's side is going to start looking like the women's side. Very few blowouts. He says with NIL, more blowouts on the way. Kevin on his way to work. So I looked at the women's bracket, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5. And those 4 5s were right. OT games, 2 of them. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more chalk. You're going to see a lot more of that. Now, look, prerogative, if you think that's the better product. I think the madness was so unique and made this cool and made it different.
It's a better product when you get to the round of 16, the round of 8, the Final Four, the national championship game. Yes, it's a better product when you have the best players playing against each other. But what makes that first round of 64 so exciting is the prospect of a 16 falling to a 1, even though it's extremely rare. But it's common the 15 and a 2. It's a 14 and a 3. It's
about a 13 seed.
Yeah, and we always talk about the 12-5 matchup, right? That's one that our eyes were on specifically this year because it was UC San Diego, Michigan, but it was Clemson, who ended up falling to a 12 seed.
Yep.
Those are ones that have happened, but in the coming years, is the trend going to be, okay, this year, 1 year of sample, 13 through 16 did not advance. Next year, does it include the 12s? Right. Does it eventually include the 11s? Is this going to be a bracket that only when you get to 16, the 1 through 5s are the only ones that legitimately have a shot?
To the guy who says the product is better because the best teams are still alive, you're a basketball guy. The product is the opening weekend. If your team's still in it, like I know we're talking to Wolverine fans and Spartan fans, you're still invested because your team's in it. But if your team's out right now, I think the interest level peters out as the tournament goes on. I think the interest peaks the first 48 hours. And if we're knifing that to death, it's not good for the product.
Well, and if you're only in it for your team, right? Michigan State, both programs that will be able to invest in their basketball teams and the talent that's on the court.
They're not going anywhere.
But if you're talking about the interest across the country, right now you have 16 fan bases along with college basketball fans that are invested in moving forward with the tournament.
But the casuals die off after the opening weekend.
Yeah.
And they might not show up at all if there aren't upsets.
Right. And the casuals eventually will die off anyway.
Yeah.
So how much of that will the casual fan no longer want to watch the opening weekend if within the first 5 minutes of the game
it's over?
It's done. Your UConns, your Floridas, the teams that are spending the most on their rosters are just simply better.
Texter says you guys are completely overreacting. Besides, as much as fans love Cinderellas, they ruin your bracket and they make these next rounds boring. I suppose everybody's got their bracket alive, right? Unless you had St. John's winning it all. Sorry, Lisa. Everybody else is doing fine. Texter says, let's take this deeper. They're looking to expand the tournament to more teams while at the same time the talent gap grows. Get ready for more blowouts in the early rounds. Yeah, expansion would be a disaster.
I think even before this trend, and again, it's a 1-year trend. Don't know if this is what it's going to be moving forward, but if you're reading the tea leaves and if you're just simply paying the best talent to go to 20, maybe 25 of the schools, and you're plucking the best talent. That's the issue, is you're plucking the best talent from Oakland, from the MAC schools, from, pick any conference.
Big Sky, MEAC, whatever,
You're picking the best talent that has, whether it's developed late or it was somebody that went under the radar, now all of a sudden, hey, they're playing in a conference title, and a guy goes off. Now all of a sudden, that individual, while not being able to be paid by that school, is offered $500,000 for a year.
He's gone. In a lot of ways, it's the reverse Robin Hood. It's the rich stealing from the poor to build up their bank account.
That's exactly what it is.
Texter says it's an opportunity for the NIT to rebrand and rebuild their tournament. John in Harper Woods. And this one says, it's kind of funny. A couple years ago, the narrative was the tournament sucked because there were no blue bloods. Now it sucks because there's no little guys. My takeaway is everyone just loves to bitch.
Well, yeah.
Oh, some truth to that for sure. Mm-hmm. I didn't hate it 2 years ago with the little guys.
Had a coach tell me one time, it's your God-given right to bitch and moan. It's my God-given right, whether I care or not.
True.
Thanks, Coach.
Which coach was that?
Joe Pendry, O-line coach.
Perhaps this is another text we're getting a lot today. The committee's doing a better job seeding teams. Maybe that's the explanation. Do you buy that?
It's possible. That could be part of the equation. There's a lot of things that play into this equation, but when it comes down to it, if you never have a 14 that ever wins, you never have a 13. And we start moving that bar. This year it's 13 through 16. Do you include 12s next year? And I don't think it's because the NCAA is just so good at seeding teams. Like, has that ever been the argument?
What a self-serving. I mean, I know this isn't. Yeah, of course, the committee's just perfect at their job.
Yes, yeah. Oh, the data that says this team is a 4 seed, they're perfect where they are.
It would be great though if they tweeted out, "We finally got it right, guys. This year we did it. We
victory lap."
Yes, yes.
Texter says, "Oh no, not my bracket. Who cares? Upsets make the product."
There are a lot of people, especially on that first weekend, that love the upset.
Yeah. Some people saying it's an overreaction. The little guys will still be there. I don't like the new portal rules. I'm all for players getting themselves to elevated programs. Look, I'm not mad at any of the individual players.
No, and we can revisit this next year.
Yeah.
We could be way off. It's not the first time I would be wrong.
Certainly not for me either.
But this is 1 year does not make a trend.
No, but we're seeing 1 year and we're seeing where the sport's headed, and we're, I think, trying to add 2 + 2 to get 4.
Right. And if you are taking all the best players from those schools, not that they're going to be starters on Alabama or USC, UCLA, Michigan, Michigan State, UConn, but you're talking about guys that maybe they were the headliner at those schools. They're not getting paid, but if I'm going to get paid to be the second guy off the bench, these are 18 to 21-year-old kids, and you offer them $500,000 or somewhere in the ballpark. Just okay, the pennies of $250,000 for a year
only. Right.
They're jumping ship.
I don't blame nobody's blaming the players, but I definitely don't blame the players. Like, there's an odd situation with Michigan right now where they're still playing and they have a player who's entered the portal. We'll talk about it a little bit in the 9 o'clock hour here. I don't blame the player. It's a lousy situation. The portal opens during the tournament. I mean, the system's not designed well here.
It's the same thing as the Penn State quarterback.
Yeah.
Entering it while they're in the college football playoffs.